CDRs have revolutionized how Canadians invest in US stocks. Or is this really the case? Disclaimer: the following is for education and general information only, not investment, legal, or tax advice, and not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. Investing involves risk, dividends are not guaranteed, and past performance does not predict the future. I may hold position in securities discussed and may trade at any time. Fellow investors, bonjour. This is Mike Leroux, founder of Dividend Stocks Rocks and passionate investor. You're listening to the Dividend Guy blog podcast, where I and my co-host Véronique will help you invest with more conviction so you can enjoy your retirement. Individual investors, bonjour, Mike Leroux here. You're listening to the Dividend Guy podcast. I am with my co-host Vero, and we're doing back-to-back two topics that I'm not too hyped about. Let's put it that way. So what's going on with you, Vero? You're trying to get the worst out of me today, or what's going on? Last week we were talking about taxes. This week I'm not even sure I want to talk about it. Anyways, what's going on?
What's interesting about you, Mike, is that you're as passionate about topics you don't like when you talk than about the ones that you enjoy. So it makes good answers for investors. And actually, we get questions about CDRs pretty much every webinar. So I thought,
yes,
let's go back to that. CDRs, Canadian Depository Receipts, were created in 2021. So that's almost just starting to be 5 years ago. They were inspired by ADRs, which do the same for Americans who want to invest in international stocks. But Mike, you said it, you never were a big fan, but CDRs have evolved a bit since their creation, and we'll see if they now bring more value for investors.
And full disclaimer, on top of the reason for retail investors that I don't like, there's also a personal side where I have to go through multiple oops to manage my database at Dividend Stocks Rock, because on top of that, some of them, and if you have been investing in CDRs, you'll know what I'm talking about. Some of them were on the New York Stock Exchange, and then they became on the TSX, so their ticker changed. And when a ticker changed, I have to redo the entire infrastructure on my side. So of course, I'm a bit upset when they do that kind of things. But I mean, that's just personal. To be fair, it's not the end of the world. I mean, there are a lot worse products than CDRs. It's not oh, you made a mistake, so don't panic if you have CDRs in your portfolio. It's not the end of the world. It's just that I cannot really find the huge benefit. It's not transformational either on my side. So I'm not going to spend my life arguing that CDRs are bad products. They're not really bad products, but there are a few things that bugs me with them. Let's put it that way. And the equivalent of just simply investing in US stocks in a USD account is so easy these days. I just don't get the interest to buy CDRs. But let's dig in to see really what's going on here.
All right, so first, Mike, let's explain what CDRs are made of. What exactly do investors buy?
So they are designed to wrap foreign stocks so you can trade it in Canadian dollars in CAD. So that's the biggest advantage, I'd say, on a Canadian stock exchange. And usually it's a smaller price per unit than the original share because it's a wrapped product. So in practice, what happens is the firm creating the CDR will hold the security, package it up into that product, and giving you a piece of it. So the CDR position gives you the entitlement to everything that you had in terms of the US holding. So you own kind of a fractional share of it. It's a fractional interest. You will get the dividend. If the stock will go up, your CDR will go up in about the same percentage besides the currency fluctuation. We're going to talk about that later today. But it's pretty much really the same as I own Microsoft shares or I own Microsoft.to trading at a smaller price, but I just get a smaller piece of the cake. But it's the same cake. It tastes the same thing. All the rules applies. So it's just the wrapping is a bit different.
So Mike, many investors believe they get a discount on their share price when buying CDRs because, like you've said, often it's cheaper. But this is not true. And you often compare them to a pizza and its slices to make the image clearer, right?
Yeah, because I love pizza. And even your dog is liking the pizza. So We can hear it in the background. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So imagine Microsoft trades about 450, right? In US dollars. So it's about 625 Canadian dollars. And then at the same time, Microsoft.to, so the CDR, trades about 32 bucks. So roughly you get 20 shares for the same 625 bucks instead of like one share of MST. But if Microsoft goes up by 10%, your $625 investment in MSFT or MSFT.to will still go up to 687. So it's exactly the same thing. Going back to the pizza analogy, I mean, a large pizza is about 16 inches. It's still the same pizza if you have 4 slices or 40 slices. I mean, I don't, as long as you don't put olives on it, it's all good, right?
What's the hate about olives, Micah? I love them so much.
That's another topic, I guess. I mean, a lot of people will bash on pineapples. I'm not a fan of pineapples on pizza, but
No.
I'm not really against it. I'm really against olives, but I mean, let's not digress. Let's keep on one thing that I don't like in the investment world, all right?
All right. So one of the big promises about CDRs is the currency hedging part. Like on the CIBC website that holds pretty much all the CDRs, they are announced as no currency conversion. Is that true?
Yeah, if there is one advantage and one like focus some investors may have is they don't want to see their investment fluctuate with the relationship between the Canadian dollar and the US dollar. Well, you're good with CDRs. If you pay 32 bucks for Microsoft in Canadian dollars, it's just going to be the same at all time, regardless if the USD gains 10% or if it loses 10%, it's not going to have an impact. So you're fully hedged. For some investors, it's a great point because you get that protection as well, thinking that if our Canadian dollar goes up too fast, well, it also affects the value of your US investment. Well, in this case, nothing happens. So you don't have to follow up with the FX trades anymore. Currency don't matter. You're all Canadians and you're just going to stay in Canadian dollar.
Okay, and you've mentioned it, but just let's make it clear. Do CDR holders get the same dividend?
Yeah, that's a question that comes often. Yes, so you have a smaller piece of the pie, but you still get the same dividend yield. You're still going to receive the dividend. It's going to be paid in Canadian dollars. The withholding tax will generally apply as well, depending on how you invest or where you put your CDRs. So it's exactly the same as you had invested in Microsoft. It's just Microsoft.to in Canadian dollar, but if it pays $1 in dividend, you're going to receive it. The withholding tax will apply. So it's literally the same thing. You won't see the difference.
And the same applies to the stock performance, right? Like investors get the same results as the underlying assets, except it's a fraction of them.
Yeah, and this is why I always prefer to talk in percentage instead of dollars. Because I
Mhm.
mean, if you make a $10,000 gain, it's only relevant if you know the percentage of what that $10,000 represent. I mean, $10,000 on a $1,000 investment is not the same thing as a $10,000 profit on $1 million investment. So yeah, so even if you pay a smaller price per share, your investment is going to fluctuate the same way. The biggest difference over time, over the past 5 years, that you can see between Microsoft and Microsoft FT or TOs, I mean, and any other CDRs, is that the US dollar gained in strength. So
Mhm.
the US dollar investment is worth more in Canadian dollar today. So your edge has played against you, but that's the price to pay when you want to edge a position, right? Sometimes
Right.
it's good for you, sometimes it's bad for you. In this case, it didn't play it out, but it worked. It's just that the context for the past 5 years have been that the US dollar is stronger today. But that could be completely a different discussion in 5 years from now again.
Mhm. Hey, dividend growth investors, this is Vero. Mike is currently taking a sip of water, which gives us 10 seconds, and I literally mean 10 seconds to grow the podcast together. Go on Spotify or Apple Podcast, hit pause, and then under our logo, you'll see two very interesting buttons. One to subscribe, hit that subscribe button now, and then give us a 5-star rating. Our goal is to help more investors just like you. So please spread the love. Thank you. Okay, so as we record this episode, there are currently 116 CDRs available, mostly for US stocks. But there has been something new for a few months, the appearance of international stocks such as Alliance from Germany, ASML, popular one from the Netherlands, and Nestle from Switzerland. But the total number of options outside the USA is currently 18. So that's not much. Is that something interesting to you?
Well, again, we're talking about like popular companies that are international ones. You could get them on the US market before that. So, yes, it's interesting, but I don't get the hype because you could have bought ASML a while ago just
Mhm.
using your USD account, and it's going to have been like super easy to do that. So, if you want to keep everything in dollar, all right, but keep in mind there's a price to pay for that, right? Nothing is free. I mean, CIBC or any other investment firms are not just going to say, "Hey, Veronique, I have something for you. I'm going to package this product. It's going to be great. You're going to get edge on top of that. You're going to be able to buy a bunch of new stock that you were reluctant to buy before, and it's going to be 100% free because we're nice guys." I mean, it's not the way it works. So fees are like between 0.6 to 0.80% per year. I mean, for me, that's huge because you're kind of like paying a management fee on an ETF or mutual fund, which
Mm.
is quite
Mhm.
similar, like a 0.6% on something that you could have bought for free. When ETFs like broad ETF, like following index, were created more than a decade ago, like their biggest selling point was, well, instead of buying a mutual fund at like 2%, tracking the S&P 500, now you can do it at like 0.05. So now
Mhm.
we're just like, hey guys, instead of buying Microsoft with 0% fee, you could have the chance to buy it with 0.60. How amazing is that? So yeah, this is the part where I hate the most. The second thing is the bid and ask spread. So how much people are willing to pay or how much people are willing to sell at for the CR tends to be larger than the underlying stock because it goes with the liquidity. And of course, a stock like Microsoft is a lot more liquid than the CDR version of it. There's a market for it,
Mhm.
it's liquid, but you might want to consider using limit orders when you trade CDRs. And while when you want to buy a large company on the public market, it's not going to make a big difference for the bid and ask. So those are like the two major downsides, in my opinion. But the worst one is definitely the fees. Because, I mean, what's the point of paying fees for something that you could
Mhm.
have done anyway? I just don't like paying fees. It's worse than taxes.
So, Mike, we're gonna move to like solutions after, but in the end, is investing in CDRs worth it?
I mean, on one side, you keep everything Canadian in your edge. So if it's your main focus, that's great. But that's the only advantage versus the fee that you have to pay. I don't think it's a good balance. I think it's way too much. If the fee would have been like 0.10%, I could have understand. Now I'm just like, for the long haul, if you are like me and you're thinking in decades, the currency edge lose a little bit of its appeal because yes, from one year to another, currency swings could be massive. It could be like 10% in 12 months. But if you put that in a perspective of like 10, 20, 30, 40 years, well, I mean, theoretically, I hope that arcane dollar is not going to fall by 80% to the US dollar in the next 30 years. Technically, it should be about the major swing of like maybe what, like 10, 15, maybe 20% max.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm not super excited about it. So I didn't change anything and I still have 50% of my portfolio in US stocks in USD.
But then, how would you minimize the impact of currency conversion?
Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, it's super easy to do it. And sometimes this is what frustrates me when the investment firms and the industry is that they are creating products with a very specific angle and they push that angle into marketing and they're super excited about it. But if you do Norbert Gambit, you can switch from US to CAD to US within 2, 3 days at no cost and no currency conversion fee. So again, yes, there's the edge, but besides the edge, there's absolutely no other points because I could really say, let's say I retire tomorrow morning and I have half of my portfolio in USD. Eventually, I will have to sell some of those US shares
Mhm.
and transfer them into Canadian dollars to create that Canadian income. And if I have to do that, well, I would just simply sell my shares of US stocks, get that USD, buy DLR, which is a well known ETF for the Norbit Gambit, journal my DLR and USD into my Canadian account because DLR trades on both sides. So you can buy DLR in Canadian dollars and DLR in US dollars. So you just journal it into the other account, you sell your DLRs, and now you're getting Canadian dollars, and then you can
Mhm.
retire on the beach without any problem. So on one side or another, super easy to do. with the Norbit Gambit. You can like look it up on Google. There are like plenty of explanation on how to do it. There are videos as well, well written articles, super easy to find how to do this. And you can save a lot of time and money by doing it. I do it a lot for my corporation because we do have about 35% of our clients, dividend stock stock that are Americans,
Mhm.
and I get a lot of USD. So I do that all the time. And whenever I do it just for fun, I look at what's the rate the bank is giving me for my USD, and then I make the normal gambit, and I look at the result, and I save on average between 2 to 2.5%. So, and of course, if I call my bank and I ask them, yeah, what's the rate conversion on this, and they're gonna say, oh, it's completely free. It's like 135 instead of like 137, but it's 100% free. And I'm like, yeah, it's free and it's not, right? Yeah, you're not charging
Right.
me a fee, you're just giving me a bad rate of conversion. So
Right.
so when people are telling you it's free, dig a little bit deeper because you're gonna find that, I mean, there are fees. It's the same thing for the CDRs. I mean, they're going to say, oh, you have all of this at no cost. Well, it's not exactly no cost. There are like fees involved to do the packaging, literally, and to do
Right.
the edging. I mean, no one will edge for free either, which totally
Mhm.
makes sense. Just to know that being aware of what you buy is the most important part.
And I just want to add something because I've seen that a lot in the comments of our webinars. Like people say you can do Norbit Gambit with any stocks trading on both markets, which is true, but make sure to not take something that is too volatile because you can have like big surprises. So DLR is one of the safest option
Yeah,
out
that's a
there, right?
default option, but you're right. I mean, you could, if you have like a Royal Bank, for example, that trades on the
Mhm.
USD and in CAD. So you could do it. Just don't do it the day or the day before they report
Right.
their earnings, maybe. Because if Royal Bank moves by 3% up or down, you're going to get it factored in your transaction as well. So that could create some volatility from time to time, while DLR is the stable option. But of course, if you have investment in USD and you bought some Canadian stocks, you can definitely journal them without any problem. And that falls into Norbert Gambit. You're right.
Okay, now, Mike, there are some investors just starting out, and CDRs are especially attractive to them. How should they invest with limited funds if they don't go for CDRs?
Yeah, so that's also a very interesting point. I mean, if you are younger and you're just saying, "Hey, I'm starting to invest. I have like $100 a month. How do I go about that?" And it's great. I mean, this is how I started my children. I mean, they started with like $10 a month. I mean, it's nothing
Mhm.
in terms of dollars, but you get the habit going, and eventually you're gonna increase that amount. But at first, you're just thinking, "Well, it's gonna take me like half a year to just buy one share of Microsoft. That doesn't make any sense." And I totally agree.
Mhm.
That doesn't make any sense. But the real question is not CDR versus no CDR, but rather, why do you buy stocks with like $100? I mean, you're starting investing. This means that you start your journey into investment. You start learning about all the investment products, about companies reporting, about how the market works. I mean, there's a lot of things to digest when you start. So maybe going ETFs with a global ETF is the way, because you're going to get instant diversification. You're not going to pay that much fees, and you're getting your feet wet in the stock market right away. Besides trying to build a portfolio $100 at a time, because then you're going to limit yourself with false limitations. There are stocks, even in Canadian dollars, there are stocks. I mean, with $100, can you believe you cannot buy a share of National Bank? I mean, that's bad, no?
Right.
No, I
It
mean,
is.
jokes aside, I mean, yes, you can buy fractional share, and a lot of like brokers are offering this, but I just find it's like too much of a small amount to build a portfolio. You might as well just start with ETFs. Super is simple. Don't have to complicate things when you start. I know you get excited, you want to participate in the market, but really, what is going to make the big difference in your investment strategy when you start is a lot more the habit of invest systematically every 2 weeks or every month
Mhm.
than the stock or the asset that you buy. Yes, it will have an influence, but the first reflex to gain is systematic investment. And then you build your strategy, then you get more knowledgeable. And then it's the time to determine if you want to buy CDRs or stocks or ETFs or whatever else is there in the market. Because, there are thousands of strategies. A lot of them work. So the point is not to try to find a one that worked last year or the best one. The best one is the one that works for you, that you feel
Mhm.
comfortable with, that you can understand, that you can explain to a 12-year-old. Because if you're not able to explain your strategy to a 12-year-old, you're missing something. So maybe not just jump onto stocks and CDRs, start with ETFs. It's going to be a lot easier and you're going to get the good results anyway.
Right. So, listeners, we made a CDRs guide that is a good summary of what we discussed today. Plus, it includes like charts and the complete list of CDRs with our ratings and all that. So you can download it for free now at thedividendguyblog.com/CDR, 3 letters CDR. Mike, maybe we will end with a sentence in this guide that illustrates your thoughts on them perfectly, I believe. You've written, it's like throwing a big party just because you found a way to slice your pizza in 16 pieces instead of 8. It could be convenient if you don't want to eat too much, but it's far from being revolutionary.
That's a pretty good one, actually. I'm
You
glad I
didn't
wrote it.
remember, right?
No, I didn't remember this one, but it's right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, nothing against it that much, but just
Mhm.
wiping fees when, I mean, it's like
Right.
actually I digress, but it's just so fun. DoorDash, I don't get that much, like paying like
Mhm.
$5 delivery fee for
Right.
getting your coffee. Definitely convenient. The price is just too much. Maybe I'm
Mhm.
just cheap. Who knows?
So again, listeners, make sure to download our free CDRs guide at thedividendguyblog.com/CDR to get a direct access to Mike's thoughts and also the complete CDRs list if you're interested in it with our DSR ratings. So thank you, Mike, for your honest opinion on CDRs. For our show notes and related content, visit thedividendguyblog.com/265. I will put the link to like Norbert Gambit resources over there. So thedividendguyblog.com/265. And do not miss an episode again. Hit the subscribe button underneath our podcast logo to get notified. Until next week, stay invested.
Stay invested. Disclaimer: the following is for education and general information only, not investment, legal, or tax advice, and not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. Investing involves risk, dividends are not guaranteed, and past performance does not predict the future. I may hold position in securities discussed and may trade at any time.